Distinguished guests, please welcome Secretary of State Robert Rodriguez. Village of Lake George Mayor Ray Perry. And please welcome the 57th Governor of the great state of New York, Governor Kathy Hochul.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Secretary of State Robert Rodriguez, and what a great pleasure it is to be right here with you in Lake George today. And we all know that when the governor comes to town, it's generally got to be good news. And today she did not disappoint, especially during the holidays. And that's because the governor knows, being a former local elected official, what it means, the value of our hamlets, our towns, our cities, and what that means to the overall story of New York and what it means to us in our communities. What they do is they shape us as individuals, but they also collectively bring us together and provide a sense of pride for where we come from. Because we know together, when we think about our local communities, we all want the same things. We want jobs, we want housing, we want places to visit, places to recreate, and businesses to run. And that's because what we're doing here is creating opportunities for people now, but also for future generations. And all of those things represent the key priorities that the governor has stated in terms of the Downtown Revitalization Initiative and the New York Forward program, which are set up to make sure that main streets all over the state are thriving. So thank you to the governor and congratulations to our recipients. It's important for us to make sure that we continue to support our communities now and in the future. So, with no further ado, it's my honor to introduce the 57th Governor of the great state of New York. Welcome, Governor Kathy Hochul.
Thank you. Good morning. Good morning. And thank you, Mr. Secretary. He started the day probably in one of the 5 boroughs, if I had to guess, and journeyed up here. But just like I do, as you start heading further north, you get this sense of calm and peace and fresh air and a quality of life that is extraordinary. So we're so happy to gather here this morning. And when I think about this beautiful lake, the name Lake George makes everybody think everything is about the lake itself, right? And maybe you sometimes overlook the fact that, yes, this is one of the cleanest, clearest bodies of water on this planet. That's not me saying it, that's experts who test this. So it's an extraordinary asset that we have here. But never forget around it are dotted little communities that have such a sense of personality and charm and vibrancy. And that's what today is all about. I love being on the water. Anytime I can be on a boat, I've been on the steamboats. I wasn't back as far as when Thomas Jefferson was around and when the steamboat company started, as the mayor and I are reflecting. So there is a long history here of these boats. I've swam in this lake, I've recreated here, and to me this is just one of the most gorgeous places anywhere. But also, there's so many visitors who need to explore what we have in our communities and our downtowns. And as a local government official for 14 years, and I know some people get confused with the village of Lake George and the town of Lake George. I'm from the village of Hamburg and served on the town board for the town of Hamburg, so it's not that complicated for me. But that 14 years in local government, you're really connected to the people. I mean, this is where your neighbors know you. They know where to find you. They'll talk to you when you're grocery shopping about how the snowplow knocked over their mailbox and what are you going to do about it. So I'm steeled in the knowledge of how important local government is to the communities who live in them. And so also you are the keepers of the stories. You're also the ones who, while you have it, the opportunity to serve, and maybe it's going to be another 53 years for Mayor Perry to break a record, I don't know. But also think about, just while we're here, our elected officials have a chance to stand up and do something special. And that's what today is about. Elected leaders who understood the possibilities and communities who believe in themselves with such passion that they're willing to put in the hard work and bring people together and find a common vision that'll define our communities for a long time to come. And I did this in my town. We didn't have the opportunity to apply for $10 million. I would have died and went to heaven if someone had offered me the opportunity to have $10 million, but that was a different era. But I know that infusion of money all at once is transformative, because you can apply for grants over a 10, 15-year period like I did. But there's never that wow factor all at once. When it all comes together, everything worked on simultaneously. So in 2, 3, 4 years, people wake up and say, wow, it has been transformed, and in my lifetime. That's the power of what we're talking about here today. So, plus a region that is so steeped in history. My gosh, it is the stories here, the people who came before, the mark they left on our nation, is just something really, really special. And I know you know that. But it's also about keeping the locals here engaged year-round. It's not just about visitors, it's about the people who planted the flag here and says, I want to live in this part of the capital region because I understand how amazing this is. So you'll have amphitheaters, and they host countless gatherings, and the parks and the bike paths. I love riding bikes, and the hotels we have here. And look at this place we're in right now. I mean, I've watched this unfold, the renovation, and this exceeded all my expectations. The restaurants, I always come here for pancakes. The Adirondack little place open, still have pancakes? They weren't open today, I checked. Might want to let the owner know the governor was looking for a pancake, but I'll always come back, right? I'll always come back. And I think about the small little shops. My mother had this vision in our little village of Hamburg that she wanted to start a flower shop. Now, Mom knew nothing about business, nor small business, nor flowers. But she didn't like the flowers that were done for my brother's wedding by someone else, so she says, I'm starting my own business. And truthfully, she never expected to make money, and she didn't. But she wanted to hire other women in the community, many of whom had been displaced homemakers, they called them, people who found themselves without someone supporting them. And so I helped my mom with that little business. You always sat there on a Sunday when I was in charge, and you hope that little bell rings when someone opens the door, and sometimes hours would go by and it didn't ring. So I know what it's like to be a small business owner and how hard it can be, and how your whole life sometimes come down to what's the weather doing, and was there fog, and did it stop people from coming? And so I get it. And so when we can invest in our downtowns and help our small businesses, because they're the ones that give the defining character to our downtowns, otherwise they would all just be national chains, and you couldn't tell one from another. That's why helping our small businesses really, really matters. And so I want to thank the people who believe in these communities with such heart and soul that they've helped us come here today. And I want to thank Daniel Carpenter, the mayor of Schuylerville, the village of Schuylerville. Let's have him stand up and give a wave here, Mayor Schuylerville. Robert Allen, the mayor of Hoosick Falls, and we'll talk about why they're here as well. Ray Perry, the mayor of the village of Lake George. Dennis Dickinson, our supervisor of the village of the town of Lake George. That's where. Vinnie Cressida, the deputy supervisor of the town of Lake George. Vinnie, thank you. Kevin Garrity, the chair of the Warren County Board of Supervisors, has joined us. Kevin. And I have my partners in state government, because the governor just doesn't say, let's make this program happen. I also need partners in the Assembly and the legislature. And I want to thank Assembly Member Carrie Werner, who's been at my side for many, many years working on these projects. Carrie, thank you. And Dan Steck, our senator, who moved up from the Assembly, and thank you for all you do. And I never can come to this part of the state without saying two words, Betty Little. She was an extraordinary leader. I understand is she in Hawaii or someplace? She's somewhere else, but I know she's back, and she's doing a great job for us on ORDA, helping us with the Olympics. And so we have incredible leaders. And also Scott Bennett is here. Scott, thank you for joining us here, Assembly member from the 107th District. So thank you, Scott. And all my partners in local government and economic development teams. We have our governments, but we're not the ones who really put the pen to paper and search for all the applications. So to all the teams that work so closely, the government employees who care enough to put in the extra hours and the extra weekends and the extra nights of making this happen. And so I tell you, I get to do a lot as governor. This is one of the most impactful things that I can do, and for me, one of the most personally satisfying, is to make these announcements. And so I won't keep you waiting much longer, but I do know that the Downtown Revitalization Initiative and the New York Forward, and what's the New York Forward? We had this program where communities could compete to win $10 million all at once, 10 regions, 10 communities every single year. Now our 7th year, so this is 70 communities that have been transformed, so it's amazing. But also, some of the smaller villages would come up to me and say, you know what, we'd like to participate, but we're a little smaller. We're not sure we could spend $10 million. And you know, sometimes it's just a little intersection and a couple side streets. And I said, no, you matter as well. So I instituted a program called New York Forward where you can win $4.5 million, which given the scale of some communities, that's a lot of money. So it's like winning, well, for me, it's winning the Super Bowl, which I'm not real familiar with. This could be the year. This could be the year. Or the Academy Awards, right? I mean, there's all this energy and excitement, but you know, I love what we're doing here, and I'm really, really proud and pleased to announce that Lake George, the village and town pulled together, and this is what I love to see, a coordinated effort, will receive a $10 million DRI grant. So congratulations. And when I read the application, it is steeped in ambition. That is what's so powerful about it. It imagines all the possibilities. And we don't go over the specifics because I think you applied for about 15 things. So we have to narrow it down a little bit perhaps, so I can't say what they all are, but you can all read what's been applied for. Then we come back another time within the next year, 6 months or a year, and tell you what's been actually funded. But then we want to get the shovels in the ground. I'm very impatient. I want this community to start seeing the fruits of all your labors. So we'll be able to jumpstart a whole new era. And again, Mayor Perry and Supervisor Dickinson, you know, your vision is extraordinary, and I thank you for that. And again, to come together, two governments, then some communities compete with each other, to have one unified voice, I think deserves a lot of recognition because it doesn't always happen, and I thank you for that. But we could, you know, we could have new hubs, we could have farmers markets, an ice rink in the wintertime, just need a little bit of ice. And I know it's been hard with the ice castles and everything. I tried to come up a few times, and we're just kind of still waiting for Mother Nature to cooperate. But luckily, you're a year-round community. I mean, there are some communities that if it doesn't snow and there's no ice, that's it for the year. I mean, having this in your backyard here, for those of you who live in Lake George, I mean, you really are a year-round community, but you know, we want to have art installations and public transit initiatives that make it easier to get around. And also, one thing, people want to live here. They need a place to live. Let's start building the housing. So when children are raised here and they want to get married and have a family here and raise the grandkids I have a grandchild now, so I know how important it is, that there's actually housing that's affordable for them to live in, that starter home, or your kids come back from college and like, I want to be here, but they don't have the big earning power yet. Let's make us friendly for people to be able to live as well. And so I'm proud of the plan or the process that you put forth, which is to build more housing and make it more walkable and accessible. So for a small business owner starting out, you're going to be able to bring in more customers and attract more employees. You know, again, a young couple deciding where they want to live. You know, as we make these investments, people say, no, there's no other place I want to be. It is so amazing here. And first-time visitors may end up becoming regular visitors or even residents, like I'm sure many of you were. So for Lake George, that really bright future begins right now with this announcement. And I want to, again, congratulate everybody involved in this. And also, and we also have our smaller communities, which do matter. They matter so much because I drive all over the state. And I'm more likely to stop in a small town as long as it has a diner or pancakes. I will pull over and just literally drive. Still do that as governor. People are always surprised. Is that the governor sitting there eating? Yeah, she's always eating something. But I feel like I'm the state food tester, right? I mean, people ask me for reviews. I have to give them, you know, candid answers. But these small communities are huge economic drivers for us as well, and that's why the New York Forward program makes sure that there are programs to support our small businesses. So that is why we have representatives, our mayors from Hoosick Falls and Schuylerville here as well, who will be benefiting from Hoosick Falls and Schuylerville will each receive $4.5 million. Congratulations. Congratulations. Hoosick Falls. Mayor Robert Allen, you have such energy flowing. I'm not just talking about the waterfalls. I mean, it is a place people want to be. It's amazing what you're doing there. And the walkable village, again, with parks and building facades. I mean, fixing up the facades. I mean, these buildings were built, hundreds of years ago, and they lose their luster. And my town, which had a great history, somehow back in the 70s, just people decided that plastering over brick buildings was some sort of improvement. And I'm like, we're still trying to peel it back and unveil the grandeur of yesteryear. And that's what so many of your communities have. And we're going to keep protecting those facades and the charm and public amenities. And also Mayor Daniel Carpenter from Schuylerville and all the great people who worked on this plan. Again, more housing, more exciting events, and restoring the old canalway. I mean, the Erie Canal and the Champlain Canal, go to any other part of the country and you can't find anything like this. The history, but also I travel on the Erie Canal myself. I plan to make it all the way across someday, and my husband, if he was here, he'd say he's looking at the maps. He wants to go north. He wants to go up as soon as I get a free couple of days, I plan to do it. I'll probably have to leave the boat someplace, but I cherish this because it's not just what we're doing when we're on the canals, it's where we stop. And we have stopped in the most charming places that are off the beaten trail, and the people are so dedicated, they so believe in their story and their history. To me, it's just so uplifting to be the governor of a state like this. It truly is. And so we have the 250th anniversary of the Battle of Saratoga coming up soon. Anybody hear about this? Okay, let's celebrate 2027. And our goal is to greet the world with a really transformed village in time for that. So that's the timetable that we're looking at. So again, I want to congratulate I was going to say 3 communities, but 4 communities if you count Lake George twice, which I do. But the vision you presented for your villages and towns means there's no stopping us. This is the day it all begins, when people look back and say, what was the turning point? You're going to remember this day, and that you were here to witness this. And I was here to thank all of you for loving your communities as much as I love this state. We're doing something magical here today, and let's go forth and let people say why we know this is the greatest place to live anywhere in the world. So let's reimagine our communities, let's get started, and let's get those shovels in the ground. Thank you, everybody. And with that, let me welcome up Mayor Perry.
Thank you, Governor Hochul. It's my distinct honor to welcome you to the beautifully restored carriage house, Fort William Henry. This is very exciting. This is the best location we could have to discuss revitalization. The carriage house itself is a wonderful story of preserving history while investing in the future. And today we stand at a pivotal moment in our history, poised to revitalize the village and town of Lake George in a way that will resonate for generations to come. This opportunity made through the DRI, which is a visionary program, injecting vitality into our downtown area and helping to further enhance shared services in New York State. And for this, we extend our deepest appreciation to Governor Kathy Hochul. For Governor Hochul's unwavering support and commitment to the growth and prosperity of our community. And what better time of year to receive the news than the holiday season, just 2 days after Christmas. Seems like Lake George was on the nice list this year. Our 2 communities have spent the past 18 months in the trenches working on this important application, and the hard work has truly paid off for our community and region. We want to extend a heartfelt congratulations to the villages of Schuylerville and Hoosick Falls for their hard work on the New York Forward Awards. And today I have the distinct honor and pleasure to send our heartfelt thanks to someone whose commitment to the state and its communities is truly commendable, Governor Kathy Hochul again. Governor Hochul and her administration have been exemplary to the Lake George region, and we are sincerely grateful to her administration, and the Regional Economic Development Council for their consideration for this monumental opportunity. We're also incredibly thankful to a group of people who helped make this application a possibility. The Village and Town Board members, the DRI committee members, Senators Steck and Senator Schumer, Senator Breslin, Assemblyman Matt Simpson, and all the authors and the 30-plus letters of support we received, and our consultant team, EDR. Last but not least, I want to extend a very heartfelt thanks to our maestro of the DRI committee application, our urban planner extraordinaire, Dan Baruch. Without him, we wouldn't be here today. In the words of Thomas Jefferson, Lake George is, without comparison, the most beautiful water I've ever seen. And it is. This pristine lake, nestled in the heart of the Adirondack Mountains, has been a sanctuary for generations, a place where individuals seek restoration and respite from the demands of everyday life, as well as to plant a flag and create a wonderful life and raise a family here. Our history is woven in the footsteps of countless visitors who have marveled at the beauty of our lake and contributed to the rich tapestry of the Lake George tourism. To plan for the future, we must understand our past. Revitalization is not just a contemporary buzzword. It carries a profound historical significance for Lake George. Through this initiative, we aim to enhance and expand the downtown culture, creating a more vibrant community that not only preserves, but improves upon the integrity of our historical, cultural, recreational, and environmental resources. The environment and economy, as we well know, go hand in hand. By strategically investing in our downtown area, we are not only boosting economic prospects, but also fostering a more sustainable and comprehensive workforce destination. This initiative aligns with our vision to strengthen our economy for future generations, promoting initiatives that create inclusive and diverse workforce while maintaining a sustainable environment, all while attracting new residents of all ages and creating a vibrant year-round community. As we move forward, let us remember that the heart of Lake George beats not only in its breathtaking landscapes, but also in the spirit of its people. Our collective efforts will ensure that Lake George remains a haven for those seeking tranquility, as well as a vibrant destination for future generations, and one heck of a place to live. In closing, I extend my deepest gratitude to Governor Kathy Hochul and all of those who have played a role in making this Downtown Revitalization Initiative a reality. And those who will work with us to make it a reality. Together, let's embark on this journey of revitalization, preserving our past, enhancing our present, and securing a prosperous future for the town and village of Lake George. We are so excited to work with you, Governor, and so happy you are joining us to move Lake George forward. Thank you. Let's take a photo.
Distinguished guests, if you can please remain seated for the photo pictures. Thank you.